Welcome to New Broker, the podcast dedicated to providing insights and inspiration for building a new broking business.
Hello and welcome back to New Broker. I'm your host for today, Will Paige, and this week we're chatting to Sydney-based broker Chris Dodson, a director and principal broker at Mortgages Plus. Chris joined the industry after a career spanning consulting, founding a startup, and more than a decade at EY. Chris, thanks for joining us. How are things?
Yeah, terrific. Thank you. Yeah, I've just got back from Vancouver probably just over a week ago, so I've got a slight tickle in my throat, but I'm ready to go and full of energy.
How was Vancouver?
It was cold.
Yeah,
it was cold. It was about 7 degrees. So you're out there in sort of down jackets, and it was grey and sort of a bit grizzly. But what else do you expect in Vancouver? It wasn't actually quite the snow season yet, so It was kind of the autumn colours were incredible and amazing. Just going around and having a look at that. I was actually doing a paper across at University of British Columbia. So just going along and hanging out with 55 other students, bit of schoolwork, but also some socialising outside. So a good balance, and it was good to get away from Sydney. But I came back to 38 degrees. So it was quite a sea change coming back.
Nice. Good shock to the system.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It would be great just to start off kind of hearing about how you got into broking, and obviously you said a couple of years into broking now. What the first 2 years have been like? Yeah,
absolutely. So my career up to recent days was predominantly in the corporate world. You may have heard from my accent, I'm a Kiwi. So after graduating, jumped on the plane, went to London, had 10 years there, working in sort of business development with EY and so forth. So that actually got me pretty well conditioned to deadlines, working on high pressure environments. Then moved across from there back to Australia, into Manly, because it's just one of the best spots in the world. Future plug for Manly.
Yeah, agree with that. Yeah.
And then sort of moved back to Australia because it's nice and close to New Zealand, and just sort of put down roots. It's a wonderful place to live. At that time, I was working at one of the consultancies, and was doing long hours and so forth, and terrific. However, I'd started to purchase property at that time, and then sort of understood how wonderful it was in terms of a asset class. I'm generally interested in it. It's tangible. It's a really cool thing to be interested in. It was a passion of mine. In the backdrop to that, I'd been promoted up in the consultancy, and then I'd spent a lot of time flying around Asia Pacific. And then it sort of kind of got to the point where I was spending a lot of time in Bangalore on the tarmac there, and I thought to myself, actually, do I want to continue to do this, or should I be doing something else? And at that time, I was, as I mentioned, still studying, and thought, well, why not give it a red hot crack? Why not just sort of step away and, just thought, let's give it a go. So then just went all in, and haven't really looked back since there. The journey's been good, rewarding. The first 2 years, definitely, I think it's just a bit of a leap of faith, which is easy to say, but I think it's not until you're actually in, where you're actually then thinking to yourself, actually, I've got 3 mortgages to look after. I'm building a startup, change of industry. Like, if it's going to happen, I need to really embrace this and go for it. And that was 2 years ago. And the process since then is you learn a lot really fast. And I think if you were to ask me, well, I probably have quite a lot of tips and tricks and just generally experience having gone through it. But I think everyone is different, but I do wish that I sort of did start earlier.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a lot of benefits of, the autonomy, your work in which you do is really tangible, like in the consultancies I was working on, pitch decks for cost cutting for Rio Tinto, etc. And I think once you then shift that dial to helping families get into, the Northern Beaches or to wherever they may be around Australia, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I think they really, it's quite a privilege to be able to help people in that space. And it's something in which I haven't seen that sort of, I wouldn't say the word beauty of being able to help people. And these are life-changing moments. And it is an honor and a privilege to be able to help. Yeah.
And really interesting to hear the point from when you said, I want to give this a go, and then the kind of nitty-gritty of how you went about making the jump. What did you do and what did that look like?
Yeah. So I think you just sort of need to get on with it. I surf in Manly, and actually a quick plug there is that actually I was out surfing, and there's a guy called by the name of Raj Saran. He's a buyer's agent, and I was like, and mortgage broker. I was like, we got to know one another in the lineup, and I was like, so what do you do? He's like, well, I'm a broker. I was like, I'm really thinking about becoming a broker. And he's like, A, are you sure? Do you want to do this? B, like you got a consultancy job. Why are you leaving? And then really quiz the drive of why you're going to do it. Because I think him knowing that, knew that through the ups and downs, he needed to have that I don't know, the drive to continue to get through all of that. So then after I make decisions quite slowly. Yeah. So then went out and caught up with him, and then sort of said, hey, I'm still thinking about this. And if I am still thinking about this after a few weeks, it means I'm probably pretty keen. I also do have, one of the things in which I am very blessed to have is a great circle of friends who I use as soundboards, and then, hey, I'm thinking about this. What do you reckon? I'm not necessarily short of ideas, and my mates would, good friends would say, you've got 100 ideas and probably about 3 of them are good. So
Well, it's good that they tell you that. I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so therefore, I've got a very close group of mates and just said, look, hey, what do you reckon? And they're like, yeah, I think this is pretty good. All the rest are rubbish, but this one's pretty good. Let's have a crack. So therefore, after chatting to Raj, he then again sort of looked into the future for me and said, and I hope I don't ruffle any feathers here, but at that moment in time, I was looking at different avenues of what way to go.
Yeah.
There's some big franchises and there's also some little players. And he said, well, some of the best advice I'd give you is, as opposed to going to the big franchises where you do learn your craft and you do have support networks, but also when it comes to actually building a business and thinking about leaving, there's some considerations that you leave your trail blog. Your marketing, your brand still belongs with that entity. So as opposed to going with them, instead sort of matrix type scenario with the red pill and the green pill kind of coming out to you, he's like, well, maybe you should go the other way. And upon reflection, I think that was definitely the better move for me, to do it harder at the start. But now sort of just over 2 years in, I think I'm in a lot stronger place where I don't have to now think about having come across this point now to then essentially restart the clock and build a brand from scratch or what have you. So I think that was a really good steer. And then subsequently from there, he introduced me to a gentleman by the name of David Lennox, who is his aggregator. And I did say to Dave, I was going on today, and I said, every time I say your name, I get a pint. So therefore, I would like to say David Lennox.
Good plug.
So therefore, I was introduced to him, and he's a wonderful man, and he's a mentor and a friend who was able to then teach you the craft, really, and just work through deals with the patience of a saint, and give you that support which is required in the hands-on support and mentorship in which he had. So that was just terrific in that sense. And then also I was incredibly lucky also because in Raj's office, he also had a guy by the name of Paul Economides. So not only had Dave as a mentor, but I also settled up in an office, paid for the office, but I had access to a broker who's, been in the business for about 30 years.
Sure.
And just that apprenticeship, it was informal ever so slightly, but I could ask questions at any time to then just get you where you needed to go. I think when you have a big panel of lenders and you're, I wouldn't say overwhelmed, but there's many options or directions in which you can go. Having someone to just sense check, validate, hey, I'm thinking about going this way, and here's the reasons why.
Yeah. They
could then, specifically Paul, I do have to apologize for the amount of questions I asked.
Yeah.
And Annika is also within that office.
Okay.
I just asked, hey, what do you think? And that would save me days
really?
Of literally, you've got a deal, you're asking various BDMs, and before you know it's 2-3 days down the track.
Yeah.
And I would liken it to chasing squirrels. That's like a bad analogy, but that was my analogy, that you'd literally be chasing a squirrel up, either the wrong squirrel or B, the wrong tree.
Sure.
And I think big shout out to sort of that J curve of learning through apprenticeship, mentorship, and that ability also, the big thing in which is important for new brokers is to surround yourself with that community.
Yeah.
It can be a lonely job at times. So you need to also have those who, you celebrate with, commiserate with, and you have that support network so that you're, you can navigate these things, and you have other humans to support and cheerlead you as you go through.
Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting speaking to new brokers, how many of them have like a kind of mentor or someone that sort of talks, especially early on, that they can just fire questions off. Yeah.
Incredible. Just real. I think sometimes I see these stats about the amount of brokers who pull away from the industry.
Yeah.
It's large. Like, it's huge.
It's a high dropout rate.
It's a huge dropout rate. Yeah. And I can understand why. And I think that with good mentorship and community and apprenticeship, I think that can really help to even up those odds. And that's something which I'm really grateful for in terms of my journey to get here. And, I'd still be chasing squirrels down the wrong tree, up the wrong tree if it wasn't, a few key people in the foundational years of setting that up. My relationship with all of these individuals is now, fellow colleagues, and, they know my journey, and, I'm there to help whenever they need a hand as well. It's not all one way. Yeah. Considering my background in sort of marketing and design and stuff like that, things that some established brokers are not very good at. So, and that for me is just super native. I can navigate all that stuff, and I find it very easy. But happy to, problem solve and troubleshoot wherever they need help. So, what goes around comes around, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think broking's nice in that, compared to other, especially financial services industries, it's very supportive.
Yeah.
Considering it's quite competitive. There's a lot of kind of advice and that sort of thing.
I was actually jotting down some notes on the way here in the taxi, and I thought to myself, the goodwill that is within this industry is really good. Like if you have a question, and another plug, coffee and finance.
Yeah. Everyone talks about that though. Yeah, it's such a good initiative.
There's good vibes there.
Yeah.
And people genuinely want to help. And I think that abundance mindset is very helpful, especially for those starting out. And I think that it's just what would be a reflection on, it is a difficult industry, harder than you think.
Yeah.
But once you find your groove, I think it then becomes possibly the best job in the world.
Yeah.
But, you need to have those mechanisms, platforms, communities in which can help.
Yeah.
And I think that's really the bedrock of whether you sink or swim.
Yeah. And you mentioned kind of high dropout rate, that it can be difficult starting out. Yes. Why do you think that is?
Beyond my own personal experience of going straight into a new industry and learning the craft, I think cash flow.
Yeah. It's a good point though, yeah.
Cash flow is, I'd underline that.
Yeah.
It's not, it's 6 months before you get paid.
Yeah.
And that it depends on, just would highly recommend having a good buffer. It's probably, I was warned about this and I was like, no, I'll be able to sort this out. I've already, I've landed a $1.2 million loan within the first sort of couple of weeks.
Really?
Like this is easy.
Yeah. So was that your first loan?
Yeah.
1.2? Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's false sense of security. It's because I was telling my mentor and he's like, oh, we nearly need to get you to present. I'm like, yeah, this is easy. Don't worry about it.
That's hilarious.
So, cash flow would be one.
Yeah.
I think a recent observation is that you're kind of always on.
Yeah.
I think the ability to switch off or navigate or have boundaries, I think is something which is, when you're in a corporate role or what have you, or possibly a tradie, you've got defined hours. Let's just say 8 through 6.
Yeah.
In our role, it doesn't really work like that. I think as you become more, your business model changes and you have support staff, I think that changes the needs or the breakdown of your week. But for the individuals that have, sole operators, I'd say that's also another piece. And I think some of the demands in which are put upon brokers, I think you always need to be going above and beyond.
Yeah.
And that takes time and effort and energy.
Yeah.
And then that sort of segues across to, you need to have different outlets for making sure that you regulate your own energy and look after yourself, as well as also your clients.
Yeah. And be interesting to hear, obviously first loan, $1.2 million. Is it in the first month you said?
More or less, yep.
Yeah. But then sort of pressure in the first 6 months. Is that based on referrals, or why was that kind of the slight window of challenging that opening 6 months?
I think you needed to navigate the landscape and understand what was, where to get referrals.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people offering referrals, or at least it's quite a saturated market.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people talking to you about things, but I think your radar becomes kind of onto it.
Yeah.
So I think you needed to be more initially incredibly lenient and flexible with my time with other partners, if you wish. But actually, I think over time, the focus really is on the clients.
Yeah.
Focus on that and everything else can follow.
Yeah. How much of the clients you attract are word of mouth?
I'd say 30 to 40%.
Really? And what's the remainder?
Variety of networks. So it'd be social media,
Really?
presence, a variety of other, so part of the Manly Chamber of Commerce.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yacht club, surf lifesaving club,
Sure.
surfing, what have you.
Yeah.
You name it. Like
Yeah,
just get stuck into the community, right?
Yeah.
And you never know. Like one of the best comments in which I had from my mentor, which I often state, is you never know where the pot of gold is going to come from.
Yeah.
And I think, again, if you continue to be helpful, regardless of the scenario, at any, you just never know where it might end up.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of those things where if you genuinely try and help, before you know it, people understand who you are and what you do. When they do have an issue that's in your wheelhouse, you're memorable.
Yeah.
And before you know it, they're like, hey, by the way, I know that this is this is what you do. I've got, friend, sister, cousin, whoever.
Yeah.
That you then naturally have, more and more referrals.
Yeah. And I guess obviously your name's kind of out there in the local community, and you mentioned social media. Is there a certain kind of client that you target, or do you just think any sort of loan potentially you'd look at?
I will get to that point, but I thought it's worth mentioning. I've been to some network events, right? And chambers of commerce and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And often when you're a solo broker, it's the human interaction that's important. And just as an observation, over the last few months, I've nearly got too much work.
Yeah.
And like human nature is weird, right? Because you then say, people are asking you, hey, what do you do and stuff? And I would often genuinely say it like, hey, I'm a broker, but I work from home. I'm here to just, socialize and just be part of the community. I've kind of got enough work, and I don't know how to say that without sounding indulgent.
Yeah.
But the point in which I'm trying to make is that when you say that, people become more interested in wanting to work with you, which was kind of an observation. I was like, oh, right.
Yeah.
So
I guess you're not touting for business.
Yeah.
You just seem more like a approachable guy.
Yeah. I think it's just about if there was a way of unpacking what is the message. The message is, just be normal and don't try and push in terms of sales.
Yeah.
People, especially in our culture, people like to do business with people whom they enjoy hanging out with and stuff like that. And as soon as you start to get transactional or pushy, that it's a red flag for them.
Yeah.
Segueing across from there, so my niches for clients, beyond my sort of general network, would be there's actually, there's a lot of Kiwis at the moment who are leaving New Zealand and are coming to Australia who need help. New Zealand's got a downturn for economic reasons, et cetera, et cetera. So I think there's 660,000 Kiwis in Australia that were born in New Zealand and now live here. That's not including, those that have naturalised and moved over.
Yeah.
So for someone like myself, I naturalised in the UK, got a passport, which is now useless thanks to Brexit. The biggest own goal in history, but let's not get political. And then have also naturalised here.
Yeah.
So I understand what it's like to turn up and to need to, make somewhere your home. So I can definitely look around corners, and I think that's what is broking. I think it's it's not transactional. It's being able to go and offer value beyond, just a home loan. It's like, well, actually, how can you smooth out someone's journey and look and, without sounding again a little bit cliche, but you want to work with these clients for life, and you want to, say, look, hey, this is my journey. This is what I did. This is how I bought a house. This is what I looked for. So I think there's a lot of also, coaching and consoling and cheerleading for those that are, either trying to get into the market or to expand portfolios or to, improve their general position. I think that's something I can do because I've walked those steps as a Kiwi. First point. Second point would be Northern Beaches, love the place, advocate, like apart from New Zealand, which is, still my home, it's a wonderful place. It's hard to, they call it the insular peninsula for a reason.
Yeah.
Can't help but think it's a wonderful place as well.
Yeah.
So kind of two niches in which I go for. But yeah, look, I think that's kind of some general areas in which I go for. But you can help out a variety of people. But that would be the purposeful direction in which I go for in terms of niches.
Yeah. And specifically kind of day to day, how do you manage your workload? And is there any kind of tech or tools that you lean on?
I think technology, 100% embrace it. There is a lot of smart, excellent software out there. I seem to be repping everyone quickly.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say quickly.
Is just without a doubt,
Yeah.
I owe these guys a couple of coffees.
Yeah, we should say we don't promote quickly, but everyone says quickly. Yeah.
It's just accurate. It's good.
Yeah.
Everything about it is as it should be, right? Simple, seamless, accurate, onto it. It works.
Yeah.
It's just makes my life easy.
Yeah.
Middle's also terrific in terms of just harnessing a a way of gathering clients' information and so forth. I think that's also a really good piece of tech. There's also, there's different ways in which you can present files and present information. I think at the end of the day, putting the client first and understanding that they are busy.
Yeah.
Through 9 through 5, they're highly likely that they've got a full-time job.
Yeah.
You need to respect that. So you then have a consultancy word, asynchronous way of delivering information to them so they can digest whenever they wish. Okay. I think also a way, often our role is to combine both, depending on the scenario, but if there's two partners, making sure that they're on the same page is also quite important for a broker to ensure there's transparency.
Sure.
Ensure that it's equal, egalitarian in terms of like the information. Always make sure that they're both across it so it doesn't become siloed. Another consulting word. Yeah. But then I think there's nothing also wrong. I shouldn't be giving away all my trade secrets here, but once you become their trusted advisor and their broker, I think a WhatsApp channel to then talk about, hey, updates, rate reviews, something that they can look at within a flash and understand, A, the broker's onto it.
Yeah.
B, the, sorting them out. There's a channel of communication for any questions, queries, or problems. And you can always just be there to help. And I think that responsiveness, I think, is pretty critical. I know how much value brokers offer, and I know that they do that. But it's just worth really underlining that as a service offering. It's the benchmark. It's the stable. So if you're not doing that, there's many brokers that are. So you need to make sure that you're constantly getting on top of that and thinking about, the client and making sure that everything for them is easy, seamless, quick, professional, and onto it. Yeah.
And you mentioned kind of challenges around, say, if you're dealing with partners that they're both on the same page.
Yes.
What other common challenges do you have to deal with?
You never know the dynamic sometimes within families. Interesting. I don't know how I got there in my brain, but I did a loan for a gentleman at FIFO down in Adelaide.
Yeah.
Terrific guy. Kiwi, actually. He's a mechanical engineer. Earns good money out on the mines. We did a guarantor loan, and then the mum then had refinanced herself and then had her own personal broker. The personal broker then broke the guarantor loan, put them onto a worse rate, charged them LMI, as in my client, and it just all wasn't well orchestrated and organised. I then told my mentor, I was like, hey, first callback ever. So I was like, what's I didn't even know what the word clawback meant. Okay. It's like, Paul was like, oh, you'll figure this out. Yeah. I was like, oh, okay. So then part of me went into like, I want to say a better word, but slight sulk. I'm like, slightly took it personally. Yeah. Mentor said, look, hey, jump on the phone, chat to him, see what happens. Where in reality, I would have done what I was going to do and just sort of let it be. I didn't know how to do it. Rang him up, understood the scenario, and then within sort of 30 to 60 days, had refinanced him back and got him sorted with cashbacks and all that sort of stuff. So it was an awareness piece from him and a communication piece. Yeah. So I think I just underline that as a point that is really worth understanding about. Just sort of lean into it and understand what is going on. But the relevance of the question is clawbacks and so forth are, I think everyone has opinions on these. Slightly unsavory, but, I think it is what it is. What can we do about it? Not much. Just continue to be on the ball and just accept that this is the the part of the game. I'm part of MFAA.
Yeah.
I expect them to represent me and to be advocates of our industry and put us first. So having seen some of the presenters and the chairwoman, I think she's terrific. I think she's impressive. And I think that having spoken to her, I was like, okay, I'm okay with you representing myself and just going for it. I think that she's got, just quick plug for her too. She's pretty good. I was actually surprised at the professionalism of MFAA.
Everyone says that, yeah.
Yeah, I thought, actually, you know what? All of that team, Bob and the rest, I was like, yeah, okay, these guys are pretty slick. I thought it would be more...
The events are really good.
Yeah, I thought for some reason, I thought it was just going to be a bit more ropey.
Oh, really? What do you think of that?
I don't know. I just had this vibe that it was not going to be slick or, corporate. I thought it was just a bit more of a governing body, like your local yacht club. You turn up and, they give you an orange juice and you hear some sort of old presentation and slides. And I was impressed.
Yeah. And it'd be great to hear kind of next steps for you and for Mortgages Plus. Kind of maybe a couple of years, 5 years. What's the kind of roadmap for you guys?
Sure. So actually after this, so to your point about technology, again, I find it very native and easy, and I've a bit of an unfair advantage. I know how to do a bit of websites, and not necessarily code, but design and etc. So after this session today, we're actually building out some more services pages on my website, working with a developer and an SEO person, because I think that's really important to nail down your niches and get the wording and the copy right. This day and age, I don't want to, how do I say this? Say something bad about the younger population. I'm 44 years old, but including me, by the way, more about the behavior is that if you don't make an impression within 5 to 10 seconds on any type of technology, you lose clients. So how do you have that impact, and how do you have the important part I'm trying to get to here is the wording. Yeah. Clear, concise, simple wording that illustrates what you do and how you can benefit them. Yeah. Actually, how you can benefit them first, because that's super important. Yeah. That would be the first point. The second point is I'm kind of at the fortuitous stage where hiring is kind of now very much in priority. Yeah. When I was, my loan deals and everything else is getting pretty big. Yeah. And being a one-person band, lead gen, marketing, lodgements, post-settlement, post-settlement, it's all on me. Yeah. So I think, what am I good at? I think I'm good at probably about 20 to 30% of that. And how do you find and have that complementary person within your team that relishes those things that I find draining? And those people absolutely exist and they love it. And I think it's just locating that person who would love to do the loan crunching and stuff, and for me to just continue on with the, become the client service partner, if you wish, or the face of an advocate of Mortgages Plus, because that's what I really enjoy. Yeah. That's the really cool bit about our job is initial contacts, chatting to people, understanding their problems, and then, coming up with solutions, and then monitoring it as it comes through to the nitty gritty of, possibly soakers, not necessarily, but that, as Paul Economides once says, no one wants to know how the sausage is made, right? Yeah. So all of that bit in the middle, that we do sort of ever so slightly behind closed doors. When I say that, I mean what we present is options and so forth, but it's about also getting help in terms of the paperwork and making sure that the colon's here and there's all of the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. Yeah, I think that would be a point. Moving on from there, I think it's just continue to build the brand. continue to embrace new technology. I know that there's some new technology on with Finsure.
Yeah.
So Infinity, I don't know if you've heard of the software Infinity, is getting remade.
Yeah.
Very much looking forward to seeing what that looks like.
Okay.
And just making that client experience smoother and smoother and smoother.
Yeah.
You know, like there's nothing stopping you from having, you know, Macquarie talk about sort of one-touch approvals and deal certainty. And how do you build that excellence into your brokerage so that everything about what you do from that first initial impact of them, the clients reaching out to you, that's when the timer starts about client experience.
Yeah.
Everything needs to be on ball and just terrific. And I think it's a continual evolution of getting better.
Yeah.
And just sort of leaning into that, I think is fun. Especially when it's like, it's your brand. Like you get to do what you want.
Your baby. Yeah.
It's a pretty cool project.
Yeah.
I do enjoy like the mental challenges around that. I think it's nice to be able to make, you know, I've again worked in large firms where, you know, you'd have to have 3 levels of leadership sign off specific changes, right?
Yeah.
And now I'm like, yeah, like you get to do whatever you want. And I mean that in a nice way, but, you know, it's refreshing to have that change and to really embrace whatever trend is there. I think that's something that is in evolution for as long as all of us have brokerages, right?
Yeah.
And if you ignore that at your own peril, like just really keep on, how can you do it better? What could we do? I think that's some of the best parts about broking.
Yeah. And you mentioned it was a good year last year. Can I ask how many loans you wrote last year?
Probably on for about 50 new clients within the year
50,
and growing. Yeah. But that's hard graft.
Yeah.
Everyone's different. Everyone has different needs. Everyone has different circumstances.
Yeah.
So, you know, quite a lot. And there's a lot of work in that.
Yeah.
And that's a continual, we do build long-term brokerages where you want to have a client for life.
Yeah.
So it's not only the lodgements and everything else, it's everything else behind that, which takes time.
Yeah.
Coming back to your point earlier, some of the service levels of some of the banks are creaking at the moment.
Yeah.
You know, some of them take a long time.
Any specific names?
No.
Okay,
No.
fair enough. Yeah.
Some of them take a long time to do that. I think
bigger banks or smaller banks?
Even some of the bigger banks,
really,
they're just creaking a little bit.
Yeah.
I think you need to have a pipeline, you know, that has different deals at different stages, because literally ringing a bank and on the phone for 40 minutes to nudge something ever so slightly forward.
Yeah.
I think that's something that becomes a bit tedious.
Yeah.
And I think that's, I don't know, banks try their hardest. I think some banks, assessors have logic.
Yeah.
And others are more scripted. And I think that's sometimes a bit of a bugbear if I was to read between the lines.
Yeah.
I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but there's definitely a preference of some BDMs and banks a bit more commercial than others.
Yeah.
I think there's quite a lot of change going on with some of these banks, but you know, that's not my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't know. Our industry continues to evolve. It's a huge industry. You know, Australians are religious about property.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Utterly religious.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's a lot of interest in this space. Banks will continue to look over their shoulder and see this rather large industry that's profitable.
Yeah.
And I think that new brokers need to continue to evolve and, you know, just really upskill.
Yeah.
As they sort of take on this industry.
So have you noticed, I mean, there's so much talk at the moment about the big banks kind of moving towards proprietary lending.
Yeah.
Is that something you've experienced or been aware of?
So I think I've come across a few channel conflicts, which again, I didn't really understand. And I think some of the beauty about being a new broker is that you don't have the legacy.
Yeah.
There's been some very big events in the broking industry for 10 to 15 years, which have soured quite a few traditional brokers or more established brokers. And rightly or wrongly, I think I didn't have that luggage, and I was okay to just, it wasn't really my issue.
Yeah.
But yeah, the channel conflicts I've seen it a couple of times, and it does feel unsavory.
Yeah, really. I think a few people have said.
Yeah, we just come ever so slightly wary. But then coming back to, well, what does that mean as a nugget for a new broker is you need to deliver value that is beyond a rate, is beyond a straight comparison. If that's where you're fishing or that's where you're operating, you're ripe for, if you're going to, I think they always say it on Finance and Coffee, if you compete on rate, you're going to get beaten by rate.
Really, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you've got to go deeper because let's just say a deal takes half a day to a day to write and to lodge and do all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's money. Well, not necessarily money, but that's a relationship that is not as strong as it could be. So it's about, deeply understanding when caring about the client, deeply understanding where they want to go, in what time frame, and how.
Yeah. And
then from there, this is the beauty of having a consultancy background is that there's no such thing as a no.
Yeah.
There's a million ways of understanding and solving a problem. And I think once you sort of have that view within reason, you're pretty well equipped to keep on going.
Yeah.
And clients know that, and they can tell. And that's why the broker channel is a lot better than at times, computer says no that you'd get with a bank teller.
Yeah. No,
you know what I mean?
That's a fair point. Yeah.
You need to have that
human side that people look for when they're buying a house.
Yeah, and a can-do attitude and a curiosity about humans and everything else. We're getting slightly anthropological here.
Yeah, it's getting philosophical. Last couple of questions from me.
Sure.
If you could take yourself back to just before you made the move into broking,
yep.
What would you say to yourself? Maybe what piece of advice or?
Geez, I think you need to understand the drive, and I think you need to be a bit pig-headed about just jumping in. There's never going to be a perfect time. You have to have that leap of faith.
Yeah.
I've had to take that a few times in life, and conditions will never be perfect. You'll always find an excuse. And if there is many excuses, well, maybe that's a reason not to do it. I've had people come to me to work alongside, and then, they've just had their child. They're on the main breadwinner.
Yeah.
And is that the time to go out into a new industry and start something? Maybe it's not, that's one piece is like, just make sure that it's not reckless behavior in terms of, depending on your financial situation, etc. But the other point is when the time's right, you need to just embrace it. For a while there, I was trying to hedge my bets.
Yeah. And,
the man who chases 2 rabbits goes hungry,
Yeah.
I then had to really close one chapter and then just go, okay, it was August, I think it was 23, where I just went, okay, everything else is gone. I'm just going for it.
Yeah.
Ran it past my dad. Dad's like, if you're going to fail fast and just go for it.
Yeah.
And then, at the end of the day, when we're older in life and you look back, you just need to know that you gave it a red hot crack with the best of your abilities and just gave it had a go. And if it works, terrific. If it doesn't, at least you had a go.
Yeah. It's good life advice. If you're going to fail fast.
Just go. Yeah, just go for it.
Yeah, love that.
And close the book knowing that you gave it a red hot crack.
Yeah.
And then if you do go back into whatever trade industry, that you gave it a red hot crack and, it wasn't to be. So just pick up those learnings and move on.
Yeah. And we always end with a question on Obviously, broking can be really stressful. How do you unwind or de-stress?
I think it's about moving your body. I think, you need to be able to reframe problems. I think it's good to just get fresh air.
Yeah.
Get your lungs moving, blood moving. I actually am often up North Head in Manly, another plug. So just, get out into the water, surf, watch seagulls down the beach, whatever it is. I think it's about getting perspective. I think is helpful. I think you need to re-energize yourself. It's easy to work 12-hour days plus. And I think getting that balance helps to bring fresh energy in. And I think that's super important. I would also just highlight that, working as a single broker, it's important to make sure that you look after your mental health, have those toolkits that are there. Whether, I literally listen to Smooth FM all day.
Nice.
Just like, like whatever it is that just chills you out, makes this job fun, like people that have fun during their jobs are going to lap those that are, unhappy and all those other things. So figure out what it is that re-energizes you and bring that energy to all those client communications and so forth, because people feel that. You don't want to be a drainer. Like genuinely you do have an opportunity to make this a terrific job. Make sure that you know how to look after yourself as well.
Yeah. More good life advice. Yeah.
Oh, I'm going deep here.
Thank you so much for taking time to speak to us. And we look forward to seeing where your career goes from here.
Terrific. Thanks so much.
Thanks very much. Chris, thank you so much for telling us your story of how you became a broker at Mortgages Plus. We look forward to seeing how your career progresses. If you've got any more questions for me or for Chris, then do feel free to reach out. You can reach us at editor@theadvisor.com.au. And of course, check out Mortgages Plus to find out more about what they're doing around Sydney. And we'll catch you next time for another episode on the Advisor Podcast Network.